Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Chicagoland. Now what we have here is a 1.5 mile oval with, frankly, not the best racing in the world, except at very, very high track temperatures, which we didn't have. Sadly, the pattern of this race is that the driver in P1 can just sit on the inside lane, and as long as they don't get screwed over by a caution at the wrong time, they win. That's just how it happens. Everything behind them is a massive pack race with people jostling for position. The ideal situation for chaos and cautions, and really this race is all too often about sheer dumb luck, taking advantage of the cautions, being in the right place at the right time, but it can be very hard to predict them. Let's see all the ways this race can go. So here's race number 1. Good qualifying is crucial. We've managed to secure ourselves P2, and what this should mean is that for the first stint we can just sit here on P1 shoulder, but oh dear, we've started in map 8. Not a good start. We're going to have to fall back into the pack and make the best we can of it. Engine map 8 is an extreme fuel saving mode meant entirely for use behind the pace car. That's what happens if you start in it. Something we all do from time to time. So running the pack, there's a real catch-22 at work here. The safest place to be, I generally find, is up top where I'm going now. You can pick up a nice draft from someone else running wide. The low line is very much a trap. You just get caught in loads of dirty air as we whip it forward to lap 6 and have a look at what it looks like on the low line. Big lift needed, still going to wash a little bit wide. Someone coming around the outside, and we're not really able to do too much about that. There's just too much freedom of movement up high, so it's quite clear we've got to get back up high and see what we can do from there. Very big, however, though. The danger of running high goes something like this. If you're high, the vast majority of crashes, as we're about to whip it forward now to lap 10, the vast majority of crashes are going to happen when someone slides up the track and hits the outside wall. So watch my left-hand side as we go around. Lots of people all jostling for position as we're careful not to get up the arse of the person in front. Bringing it round 3 and 4, just cruising nicely at this point. We're ready to wait and see what's going to happen. And what's going to happen is this yellow car shooting up in front of us. We have to lift and turn downhill. We turn downhill into someone's way. They can't do anything about it. We can't do anything about it. And we're dead. 10 minutes of required repairs. Race over. Not a whole lot we could have done about it. And that's really just life in the pack. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with iRacing, an SOF race is when you have a time slot that a community for a particular car or a particular series, like the Indy Oval Fixed series, we've all decided that as many people as possible are all going to get on and race at the same time. Now we're also very fortunate that the kind people over at Race First broadcast this race where all the top drivers, and me somehow, in the Indy Fixed Oval series, are getting together and racing all at the same time. It's a really surreal experience to go back afterwards and see yourself appearing on a TV-style broadcast and your own janky little custom livery up there with people who have been racing this series for many, many years and are much better than me. And as we finish up the first lap, we're definitely holding our own, whipping it forward. Still P5, still in the pack, really dicing here with the pink car of Hamilton Akabuezi, an incredibly fast driver, a member of Team I5G, one of the leading IndyCar teams on iRacing, and here's me with my 2 months of experience and my crappy little wheel, and we're considering 3-widing him, and then I have an attack of sanity. Or rather, Hamilton has an attack of sanity. He backs out just as I decide to back out. I notice him backing out. I take P4. Lap 25, we're still holding P4, but here's the first bad decision I mentioned earlier. Watch the yellow car in front of me. It's going to do something very unwise. Down onto the apron. He thinks he can overtake the leader, but he can't. He nearly kills the leader. The rule is if you go down there, you have to come up safely. To his credit, as Bruno gives him a few wise words of advice, to his credit, he saw that it wasn't going to work. He backed right out. And now we're running P3. I'm completely staggered at this point, and I make a very bad decision. Bruno had to back out to avoid being cleaned out by the other guy. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to give up the position I was running in. I was running quite happily up top, but Bruno was running quite happily on the bottom. Maybe there is something to it after all, and as you can see, all that running on the bottom, having to lift to avoid Trace's dirty air, is doing is getting me freight trained round the outside. And that was the story of the next few laps. That's what cost me any hope of a good finishing position, unfortunately. As we come ahead to lap 42, I've fallen back to P12. And then I hit the wall, making things even worse. I'm trying to save fuel at this point and not doing too good a job of it. But look how tight the pack is up ahead as we whip it forward again to lap 45. Much less space to operate in, but oddly enough, much easier to operate in. But there, bang! See what I mean? All the accidents go to the outside. But hey, stroke of luck, quick pit stop. We'll see what we can do on the restart. And here's the second bad decision. Looks like a good one at first. Ty gets a terrible start on the green. We jump him around the outside, but that now puts us out of the line. And as we come into turn 1, Ty's just going to put his nose back up our inside. We can't cut down. We lose all the draft from cars ahead. And once again, we're being freight trained. And unfortunately after that, I realised pretty much any chance I had of a good finish was gone. Lost my confidence a bit, just fell back down the field and focused on trying not to die and wreck the end of the race and the people who were still racing for a good position. And in the end I was satisfied with that. Objective 1 was not to die, and we managed that. Objective 2 was to run at the front of the field for as long as possible, and we managed that. I'm just not quite good enough to recognise what an opportunity I had and take advantage of it. Hopefully next time I'm on a broadcast I can do a bit better. So, time now for some more adventures in a very strong field, starting P9 this time. This was actually the first race that any of us ran at Chicagoland, so this was one where none of us really knew what the optimal strategy was going to be. None of us really knew things like how much fuel we could save. Pretty much all we did know is that P1 could sit on the inside and annoy everyone. Lap 4, we managed to work our way up to P7, and I did fall into quite a decent little groove here. This is where I understood that running the top could be a good strategy. Just picking up a position there, drafting around the outside, being able to carry more speed. P6, P5, sitting in a very nice place here. However, it seems nice and calm as we whip it ahead to lap 10. Inside, I'm absolutely terrified. This is the first time I've been in a pack race with drivers who are this strong and able to run this close together. Now, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed it, but right now, all I'm doing is absolutely death gripping the wheel as hard as I can. I've got no time to think. All I can do is just drive high, try very hard not to run Stephen in front of us over. And by lap 47, as people start to pit and we've saved a bit of fuel, somehow I'm running in P3, my first time in a podium position in a field this strong. With the benefit of hindsight, I might have 3-wided there and tried to take 2. It would have been a very aggressive move, but it was definitely on. Kyle leaving some space open. As we come to lap 49, time to pit. Braking hard down to 80 kilometres an hour. Back up to the pit lane speed limit. Coming out of the pits. And
you want to swap so we can go,
what position are we going to be in? Here come Jason, here comes Josh. They were running P1, P2. They're just going to overtake us as we accelerate back up to full speed, but I'm going to drop very nicely in behind them. This is looking like a good position to be in as long as we can go green through the entire pit stop phase.
Leader pitting, leader pitting.
Here comes Bruno. It's going to be an interesting little fight these next few laps between me and Bruno to hold effective P3.
5-car pitting.
Bruno just starting to overhaul me, but there's draft ahead from this lap car. And there's the yellow flag.
Holy shit.
We're all screwed. We're not going to lose a lap. Look at that carnage as we come through it. We're all trapped a lap down. We're not going to be stuck there because everyone in front of us pits, but we are now in P13. Any chance of a win or probably even a podium is gone. Let's see what we can do. Lap 67 now, things getting really intense. We've managed to work our way up to P9 just by following, clinging on and hoping not to die. Received some really good feedback this week that basically amounts to you need to run in the pack more, because as I've run in more and more packs I've noticed things slow down. They've got a lot less intense and I've been able to think a bit about planning and strategy rather than just hanging on. But let's see what we can make of it in these last 6 laps by just hanging on and hoping. Someone diving hard up our inside now, things getting more and more aggressive. And bang! Once again, we're really lucky to be able to turn down and get underneath the incident. Another couple of positions as the field gets frozen. So 3 laps to a finish now as the pace car pulls in. Time to just put my foot down, run high, try to catch up to the lead pack as quickly as possible, and see what we can get by just running high and staying out of trouble. That's all that's on my mind at the moment. I just want to settle in, get myself back in the draft. It always takes, when the leader goes early, it always takes a lap or 2 for everyone to come back together and really start battling. Trying to take as much draft as possible, dialing in extra weight jacker for a bit more turning in the dirty air. Two laps to go, looking at the pack ahead. Again, with a bit more experience, I'll be able to possibly plot a way through it.
What do you think?
Huge slidey moves going on there, people knowing that this is their last chance to get any kind of position.
Run for a little one.
Now at this point, even in my slightly panicked state, I can tell I'm going to get a massive run off 3 and 4. If anything happens in front of me to slow someone down, I'm going to be able to take advantage of it. And there, I see a bit of a coming together, and something in my head tells me, go low! The accident slides high, we head through in P6. That's all we're going to get, but it's still a really good finish for this strength of field and the quality of the drivers in front and behind us, and, well, that wasn't so good. That was just the tension.
Sorry.
Just the release of tension, my brain went blank, I forgot to turn. But on to the next one. Right then, this is probably the most fun I had all week. We're going to pick it up here on lap 17. I've run 17 laps so far in P1 with Stefan in a very familiar position on my right shoulder. And we're about to get a double 6, but before we do, just have a look down at the bottom right at my in-car adjustments. Map 5, map 6 in the turns. As soon as we come out the turn, back to map 5, and I can still stay ahead of him, even though I'm toggling between the slowest engine map and the fastest. The only way you can get overtaken from the lead here is if you put it in lap 5 all the way around, or you do something silly like bouncing off the apron. And there we go. Ooh. There's my live reaction. That's a very interestingly timed safety car. We get ourselves out of the pits in P5, and then everyone in front of us has decided to pit. They're all going to pit, but they're going to pit a little bit late. They want to save as many laps worth of fuel as they possibly can. Now this is a very small lobby, only 14 drivers, 2 of them are out, and this is going to be really fascinating. It's very probably going to go green, and it's all going to be about who can save fuel most efficiently. Let's see how it goes.
That's crazy. Damaged cars.
So we've run a couple of green flag laps, and this is bad decision number 1. It's lap 27, and I'm still pushing it to keep ahead of Wes and Stefan. As it happened, Wes and Stefan were on the strategy of just push, hope for another caution, and then pit under that caution. Didn't quite work out for them, but now I'm going to knock it in map 5 and try and fall back and save some fuel. Should have started doing that earlier, but the race isn't lost just yet. As we come onto lap 33, still trying to hold it too far ahead. There, Wes finally drops in front of us. 1.37 litres a lap, far too many. 1.25 litres a lap, still too many. 1.23 litres, just maybe enough. As we go on to lap 47, things still going pretty okay. 1.23 litres a lap. We're in a race with Will and possibly with Crash. Wes and Brian definitely forging far ahead of us. But you can see on the fuel calculator at bottom right how close it is to me running out of fuel. Lap 54 now. This is the second bad decision. Crash has realised that he can't keep up. I think I can. So So I take a gamble, I throw it into fuel map 1, and I try and reattach myself to the back of Wes and Brian. The hope here is that I can get right back up to them and let them tow me forward and away from well. We skip forward to see how well that worked. Not at all. I just couldn't do it. And now, look at my average. 1.33 a lap, far too much. 1.21 a lap, still too much now because of all that extra fuel I used up trying to chase the leaders down. 1.15 a lap now on lap 71, and it's still far too much fuel being used. Will's headed off, Jordan's headed off, Crasher's headed off. Now it's just about trying to hang on to P4 with Stefan 16 seconds back. Lap 73 now, I am clutching in, coasting, trying to save fuel and eke it out to the end. Stefan down to 12 seconds with 2 laps to go. Can he catch up 6 seconds a lap for 2 laps? Let's see. Crossing the line, using 1.08 litres of fuel. I'm still going to run out. Stefan down to 10 seconds. Under 10 seconds as we come out of 1 and 2. Clutching in, rolling all the way down the backstretch. These 2 lap cars come past us, the gap down to 8 seconds. Clutching in again, 1 litre for an entire lap. Stefan down to 7 seconds as we come through 1 and 2. And I know I've just got to let it roll all the way down the backstretch to have any hope of eking the fuel out. 5 seconds. 4 seconds as I put the throttle down for the last time.
I'm out of fuel.
3 seconds. Out of fuel. 2 seconds. 2.4 seconds as we roll across the line and save P4. That race was easily the most fun I had all week. And finally, a race that really shows just how much random chance and dumb luck governs your chances of doing well. So we've qualified P2, there's been a first lap caution, and now we're restarting on lap 5. Deep breath. Just going to settle in nicely here and see what we can get. Again, this was from quite early in the week. I was still figuring out how best to go about this combo. But I had figured out that the thing to do was P2 is just sit neatly on the outside of P1 and wait for something to happen. So going on to lap 31, and it's still pretty much line astern. Haven't figured out how much fuel you can save yet, so it's all been in fuel map 1. Waiting for something to happen. Waiting for something to happen. Lap 51.
Car 5 pits, car 5 pits. I hope you brought enough fuel, Alaric.
Something has happened. The leader's pitted. We're in the next lap.
Yep. Hello.
Braking down, very tough braking zone to get right from high speed, and we nearly loop it, but not quite. Into the box early in the week, so we're going to take fuel and tyres. And you can see from the expression on my face that this has completely stuffed me. But, as it turned out, it could have been worse. We're a lap down.
Yeah!
But we're not dead. Through the pit stops I managed to get my lap back, and I managed to get a wave around. Quite how I don't know, but I won't be turning it down. So only 6 of us left with any chance of winning. First thing to do, dispose of these lap cars and, well,
Damn netcode.
it nearly went wrong from the beginning. I don't know if Soren just didn't see us, but it looked like he was moving to the outside to let us through. Eloy lets us through. And now, let's see what we can manage from here. The road ahead absolutely seething with cars. No time to wait. We're going to hammer up the inside of Alvaro, take that position off him.
Right, that's it.
I want to get as far forward as possible.
I'll stay right behind you. I'm not going to try to crash you. So.
And I want to be out of the way of any crashes that happen in the pack. Like that! And we drive right through it without taking any damage at all. And then I heard this.
I'm just trying to figure out how the hell I'm in first place in my first Indycar race.
And I thought it might just be my lucky day. Restart now. Paul has pitted for fuel. All Freddie needs to do is drive the inside line and he wins. We've just got to dispose of this lapped car in a Red Bull livery. And I notice he doesn't know that the inside line is powerful. We dispose of the lapped car. Freddie obligingly moves off the inside for me. I drive up his inside. And from here, it's just a case of not dying. For every piece of bad luck I've had this week, this certainly was a massive piece of good luck, just as large. So in the happy position of P1, we can now take the last 2 laps of the race.
Take your risk, Six. Now's not the time to look out.
And just enjoy the carnage behind us.
Setting up for a run.
As we come to the line to finish it off, watch my mirrors. Wallop! Yeehaw!
You idiot.
And the argument went on for a while.
Surprised that you're racing that hard, especially when you're blinking full, but congrats on the podium again.
You know, after that much luck in one race, I thought a few donuts were in order. So even though it's been a casino, I have to say it's been a very good week for me. My iRacing once again higher than it's ever been, about 3.3, 3.4k, and now we're off to Phoenix. I'm really looking forward to Phoenix, putting a lot of practice laps there. It's a short oval, like Gateway but better would be my short description. I'm really looking forward to seeing how well I do there. See ya.